All right, let's welcome into Straight Fire a special guest. Never been on the pod before. She's all over TV out here in LA. Nikki K, Spectrum Sportsnet, covers all the teams in Los Angeles, but she started her career in OKC. And we got to balance things out, Nikki. I've been kind of blasting the Free Throw Merchant and company, and a lot of OKC fans are mad. So we wanted to have you on. You know the Thunder as well as anybody. First of all, how are you?
Oh, well, Jason, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. And I find it so funny that I cover teams in LA, but it's been Oklahoma City that has gotten me on
Yeah.
Fox's national airwaves here. But what an exciting time for the Thunder franchise and fan base. I mean, they had so much early success. It's been well documented. The Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, the infamous James Harden trade. And I was in the building. It was my first playoff series I ever covered. And mind you, I grew up in Southern California, diehard Lakers fan, and my professional experience brought me to OKC and sitting in that arena, game 6 of the Western Conference Finals, when Klay Thompson goes off for 41
Oh,
points, 11 threes, right? And just rips the hearts out of this city's fan base. And then you have Kevin Durant leaving on the most dismal 4th of July ever. So all that to say, that moment, someone looked at me who had covered the Thunder since their inception and said, this team will never host a Western Conference Finals again. That's it. This
wow.
is the end.
Oh,
And here
jeez.
we are. You know what? That's 8 years later, 9 years
Yeah.
later.
9. Yeah.
And you've got this group that looks like the limit does not exist, right? When you think about how young they are, the dynamic and cohesion they're showing. And I think that win against Minnesota in game 4 was what I would call like the big boys win, right? Because you
Yeah.
were wondering what the context of that game 3 loss would mean. 40 points, just ugly. And would it be this moment where this young team crumbles and doesn't respond? And here they are, one win away from an NBA Finals appearance. And I know you mentioned Shea being a free throw merchant.
Oh boy. Don't say it out loud.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of that description. I think it's fine to say, he's benefiting off the calls for sure, and he's
Yeah.
seeking out the free throw line. But as someone who covers these athletes, and you hear about the quality of leader he is and how
Yeah.
beloved he is, it's really hard I understand the play is not pretty, how he's getting his points, but he's taking advantage of the rules that exist within the game, right?
Mhm. So let's back up a little bit. So you're a
Yeah.
Southern California girl, and where did you go to college?
UCLA. So
Okay,
through
okay.
and
So
through.
all Southern Cal,
Yes.
and you get a job in Oklahoma City. I'm just curious, like when you get that offer, like what do you say to the fam? Like, hey guys, I'm moving to the Midwest. Were you excited or nervous? I mean, they did have a good team at the time.
Yeah. And I wanted to go somewhere where I could really cut my teeth as a sports reporter, right? And I think when you look at the fans that exist in Oklahoma, from the Sooners to the Oklahoma State Cowboys to the Thunder fans, they are so incredibly passionate and diehard. You have Grandma Sue at OU football games who knows the name of the third string safety. So that's where I kind of, right, like that's where I went to learn what it meant to be a responsible reporter. And while it wasn't SoCal, and there are no beaches in Oklahoma, news break there's a beautiful Lake Hefner. I found that the people there are
Yeah.
incredibly wonderful and endearing. And you could be my line, when mom wasn't happy that I was, doing the Midwest stint, but I told my parents, like, I could be in line at Starbucks and get an offer to a Thanksgiving dinner. Like, that's just how,
Oh,
it
that's
is.
nice.
Yeah. No, it is. It's nice. It's nice. No, but it's
Well, wait, hold on. Are these like guys hitting on you, or like 55-year-old grandparents or
I think
70-year-old
we
grandparents?
I think we had our fair share of mix. I tried to learn golf
Oh,
out there, and I would get a lot of unsolicited golf advice, but that's every driving range in America, right? You
right.
get men coming up to you with the pointers you never knew you needed.
Yeah.
So
So you're covering KD, Harden, and Russ. And I just have to ask, it's obvious. Did you see Kevin Durant like frustrated with Russ at times? I know there was like a Batman Robin, but no, I'm not a Robin. I'm more of a Batman too. And there was that push and pull. Did you anticipate KD leaving even as that series to Golden State was kind of lost?
Right. Such a good question. So by the time I arrived, Harden was gone. So it was KD and Russ. And I
Mm.
have to admit, I was there like wide-eyed, fresh-eyed. I was just stoked that I got Kobe's last road game, right? Like, because that was
Oh,
in Oklahoma City. That to me was such a cool marquee moment. Grew up worshiping at the altar of 24 here in SoCal as Laker fans do. But the I didn't think I really understood what I was witnessing historically, but I do know that I got a call on the 4th of July, which I also didn't have the full comprehension of, oh, this is trade deadline. Like this is where you got to start to be on your toes for a Woj bomb at the time, so to speak. And I spent my 4th of July talking about Kevin Durant leaving and just, there was a like sadness that I won't forget because that team, he meant so much to the city. I think you could argue he still does. Like the Thunder fans will have a soft spot for the Westbrook KD days because they were so young and unexpected.
yeah.
But I think like this iteration of the Thunder has brought so much joy to a fan base that really has been I mean, almost spoiled. Even like when you think about KD leaving, but they've won a lot in a relatively young existence as a franchise.
So Katie Bolts, it's weird because I've told this story a bunch. I was packing to move to LA during game 6. And I was like, I'm not cutting off the cable. I have to keep it on. And I remember watching that game. The TV was propped up on like a moving box.
Right.
And I get out here and it's like just a flurry of things, in a short time span. Curry loses game 7 at home. And then, Kevin Durant is going to the war. It was just like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. But I will say, like, did you feel stuck in OKC after Kevin Durant left, or like you personally?
Ooh, that's such a good question, right? Like when you look at career moments and frustrations, I think being an ambitious individual, right? You always want the next step and you don't know why it's not coming soon enough. And then
Mm.
like all of a sudden, I was maybe 3 months into the job and I was like, no, like the Thunder can't be irrelevant now. Russell Westbrook will be a great leader. And, credit to Sam Presti bringing in
Yeah.
Paul George, Carmelo Anthony. There was always something to talk about. And then you got, the Sooners down south in Norman, and you've got Baker Mayfield and Lincoln
Mm.
Riley. And like it's just so funny. I come out to LA with my job here and PG comes, Lincoln Riley comes,
Oh.
Russell Westbrook comes. And it's cool because that's when you start understanding as a reporter, you're like, oh, I've laid, the foundation
Mhm.
and stops along the way that have helped me with relationships. And, KD, I'm in crypto.com arena right now as we're doing this interview. I've got a Sparks game tonight and KD's out here baseline or sitting sidelines, taking in the action. I go up to him. I was like, I don't know if you remember me. And he's like, I do. And so it's just kind of a fun full circle moments. But the buzz is always happening out there in Oklahoma.
Yeah, they have a good vibe. There's no doubt about it. I joke around with Free Throw Merchant and blasting them.
Yeah, yeah,
But you have to admit, Nikki, you cover the NBA closely. The league, this is what the league wants. They are doing their best to help the small market teams. Once you draft a guy, they make it so it's almost punitive for him to leave the team that drafts him. They
it
really want this balance, and OKC has benefited from that. Obviously, they trade for SGA, but like the second apron,
right.
it's going to kill the Celtics pretty quickly. And the Thunder are built to last. But we heard that about Denver and Boston the last couple of years too. No.
Right. It is so wild because to your point, I love seeing the guys who stay and become synonymous with a franchise, a la Steph Curry. I also love the idea and notion of parity. What we had like 7 different NBA champions over the
Yeah.
last 7 years. You look at this Final Four and what a moment for the small markets. And then of course the New York Knicks have entered the group chat. But I can't get enough of Knicks fan base. Like I want it. Bring all the smoke, Knicks fans. You guys deserve it. But as someone who understands like where headlines are made and stuff, especially here in Los Angeles. I mean, having Luka Doncic arrive has been
Mm.
so fun, so fantastic. And when you've got LeBron and my dad's a lifelong Laker fan, and he's like, it's better being relevant than in the dark days. And I think,
Yeah.
whatever years he's referring to, maybe the 2015-16 range.
Mm.
But at the same time, it's it is what the league wants. I go back and forth because I like it when players can stay, but and also looking at the landscape of how things have shifted. You kind of get the sense too that like this is a pivot year for the league, right? Like
Mm.
as we don't have Steph and LeBron and the stalwarts in the final four, but you got these new young faces that are I think becoming pretty fun to watch and lovable characters. But I also think casual sports fans might not know who Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is,
Yeah.
right? If you're not following the NBA at least somewhat closely.
Yeah. I use the mom test. Any moms
Right.
over 70 years old, do you know who SGA is? And they're like, what? No idea. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, your mom might, because you're like, you lived in OKC and now, you're doing this. But let me just ask, like, this idea that the league is better with small market teams. I know Adam Silver works for the owners, and the owners, a lot of small markets want this, but don't you think the super teams was an incredible era for the league? LeBron, Kevin Durant, Kevin Love,
Talking about
and
those Warriors, right?
Chris
Yeah,
Bosh and
yeah.
Kyrie. Like, I thought the 20 teams, I guess is what it was, with the super teams was the as good as it gets. I don't think this now sucks, but I mean, Nikki, you got to be honest. If you could tell me, Jason, would you rather have another LeBron, Kyrie, and company against Clay, Curry, and Katie? Of course, I would rather have
Right.
that. No,
Those feel like the glory days now,
right?
right?
That's what I
Like, isn't
think.
that so funny? And then I remember when the Nets had that moment. I call it a moment because that's kind of what it felt. Lord knows how many games Harden, Kyrie, and
Oh yeah,
Evan actually played together, but that feels like a fever dream, right? I remember when the news broke and you're just thinking, oh my God, the Nets are going to win it all. And that toppled over like a a house of cards, I guess. But it is interesting, like the super teams on paper versus the super teams that actually work. And now we look at those Cavs as a super team when you talk about LeBron, Caleb, and Kyrie, but at the moment it felt like they had a Herculean task of going
yeah.
up against those Golden State Warriors. But I think the more drama the better. So that's why I know we can make jokes about being like this, the script writers have this screenplay all written out with the Mavs getting the number one overall pick.
Yeah.
But give us the drama. I want people talking about it and finding a reason to tune in, right?
Yeah. I mean, listen, we've talked about small markets a lot. That being said, Giannis, drafted by Milwaukee, wins a title. Like, that's a blueprint. But now they're up Shit's Creek without a paddle. And it looks like they're going to be trading Giannis. I know there's a Doc Rivers story out there that nobody believes. Oh, Doc Rivers could convince Giannis to stay. Like, give me a break. I am curious, though. Do you think there's a world where a small market makes a play for Giannis? An Orlando, if Orlando's a small, I mean, if Shaq left, they've got to be small. But an Orlando, I don't know that Indiana would do it.
Yeah.
They're in a good spot. But do you think he automatically goes to an LA? Houston's a huge market. Do you think that happens? I mean, maybe the Knicks. I don't know.
Well, and here's the thing, like when you talk about the small market teams making a play, and what I can tell you from personal experience, I will never forget getting once again the Woj push notification in the dog days of summer. Oklahoma City and Carmelo Anthony are circling each other, right? Like, and I know Melo wasn't mellow when he came to OKC, but just that kind of like, wait, what? Like, and then make the Thunder making a play for Carmelo Anthony out of New York to come in, and so those types of moments, I'm like, this league, right? And
Mhm.
so I say never. If we can get Giannis in another small market, but I think the heartstrings of those who follow and cover the league closely want Giannis to stay in Milwaukee because of what he means, but also to have him on a competitive roster, one that
Yeah.
can support him. It just also makes the NBA better in every
Way
way
better.
too.
Um, do you think OKC will have a Christmas Day game next year, and will they play opening night? They've kind of been snubbed
Oh,
this season,
yeah,
we'll just say they got
yeah.
snubbed.
I
But I
think,
mean,
yeah. I mean, at first I'm like, duh, but you said yeah, considering recent history, they have been a little disrespected, I guess. But I think with the way they rose to meet the moment and won at an incredible clip this season, you got to put them in marquee matchups now.
I mean, you would think, but Indiana Pacers went to the conference finals last year. They didn't
Right.
get a Christmas Day game. And Christmas Day is, people are like, who cares? Well, that's kind of the unofficial start of the season as football's winding down. Obviously, the first week is big. Let me circle back to the Lakers real quick.
Yeah.
There is this weird negative vibe that this team sucked. They got blown out by Minnesota. I mean, Nikki, they lost basically 3 coin flip games in a row with 4 minutes left, 2 minutes left in the games. And they were like nip and tuck. And oh, by the way, they were the 3rd seed in the West, trading for Luka, who was not even close to 100%. Like, this idea that the Lakers sucked to me, it's insane. And they're calling me a homer. You covered the team. You've been around them a lot. Like, I don't know. Is there a right answer here?
Oh no, there's 2 points I want to respond to that with. And one, first and foremost, being the Minnesota Timberwolves are in the Western Conference Finals. And yeah, and like they're a good team. And the Lakers were also an incomplete team. And yes, you say yes to a Luka Doncic trade 10 times out of 10, but they didn't have the size to go toe to toe. I mean, in the paint, especially with this Timberwolves roster. And even like I was at game 1 of the Western Conference Finals where it was Thunder Wolves, and I was even unsure. I was like, oh, this Wolves team looks really big. Is that going to bother OKC? And obviously now the Thunder are up 3-1. Yeah. But I think this Lakers roster wasn't complete. And Luka was making his way back from an injury in the middle of a season. And I think what I experienced in this building, I have not heard Lakers fans being more excited. I mean, obviously you get LeBron James and Anthony Davis and win a championship in 2020. This fan base didn't get to celebrate that. But Luka, like for reference, on his opening night here, I've never seen more people wearing the free t-shirts in the lower bowl crypto.com arena. So I think maybe the way the season ended is a little bit of a like wah wah, but there was a lot of positive momentum and excitement. And I just think like they need an off season to not only put guys around Luka and LeBron who, make sense, get that vertical lob threat in the middle that Luka likes playing with. But I think Luka and LeBron, you put them on a court together, they're going to, and give them the time, they're going to figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, like, just pivoting to LA at large real quick. So you're in like a sweet spot in that the Lakers get Luka. The Dodgers have Ohtani, just won the World Series. You've got the Galaxy had a tremendous season. LAFC is obviously very good. The Sparks get Kelsey Plum, who I don't know how they pulled that off. She's one of the best players in the league, but I digress. There's one other team in LA that's really good that I was spacing on. Well, the Clippers had a good season, but I don't know. It's like, I mean, you've got to love work out here. Like I know a lot of people don't like their jobs, but like I wake up every day, I'm like, oh, I get to talk about sports and Lakers and teams in LA are great. It seems like I'm assuming you have maybe even a better job than I do.
Hey, every day is different and it's beautiful. And the only thing that perplexes me sometimes is that I'm only showing up at UCLA basketball on selection Sunday. Like, why am I not there earlier? And it can get so overwhelming, or like the Dodgers playing in the middle of the summer when we've got Sparks, broadcasts going on. And then all of a sudden it's, oh my gosh, the postseason's ramping up. And it is an embarrassment of riches. There's always something. If it's
I forgot Stafford and the Rams could be going to the Super Bowl. Justin Herbert.
We didn't even talk about
yeah, it's like, come on.
We have Harbaugh, we have Herbert, we have like Sean McVay, and the Rams won a Super Bowl in 2021. Yeah. I can find myself being like, oh my gosh, whereas in a smaller market, you're at every coach's press conference every week, right? And because you have the schedule down, but now it's like, oh my gosh, hey, UCLA baseball's in the postseason, and you want to, I know random shout out.
I did not know that. I can't. I'm out of bandwidth, right? Nikki. Like I can't follow college baseball. I mean, come on.
That's what I'm saying. But the cool thing about my job and what I love so much is that if you focus on the storytelling too. I don't just
Mm.
do sideline broadcasts. I get to do features for our Spectrum News One channel out here. And it's like when you lean in and make a big season granular, like within the story within a game or a moment, then it kind of slows everything down and gives you a little bit more connection to the athletes and their journeys. So yeah, I mean, I love it here. And like I said, every day, is a winding road in the words of Sheryl Crow. So
Cheryl Crow reference.
yeah,
Wow,
yeah,
I did not see that one coming.
yeah.
Let me ask about the Clippers. I know they're kind of like, the stepchild, but they have an awesome arena. I have not been to it yet. I'm just curious your thoughts on the arena and
Oh
like
yeah.
where do they go from here?
You gotta get into it, Dome. It is like a spaceship on another planet. It is it's a fun experience and it gets loud. I wasn't able to My schedule didn't align with their playoff games here in
Mm,
LA, but I was there, I caught a college basketball showcase game in December, and that was really fun. I've seen a concert there. It's an awesome venue. And as for, the state of the team, the Clippers had a tough first round in
yeah.
Denver, right? But some of those games were awesome. I think you could make the case that that's been the series of the playoffs so far, right? Like that 7 game battle between those two teams. And as for their offseason moves, I'm not incredibly familiar on like who's up and could be on the move, but
Mm.
I think Kawhi's not going anywhere, and seeing him return to form this year. I mean, I know it's not all game or not every game, but it's like I think I had a couple of whoa, welcome back Kawhi tweets, because it's just like he was out there looking like he was 2019
Yeah.
Kawhi.
Played well.
Yeah.
We can wrap up. I am curious. I know you're not in like the hot take business,
Yes.
obviously.
Thanks for setting me up with that. Yes.
Well, I just want to preface it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and the prediction business is tough. So we're recording this before game 4, Pacers Knicks. I'm just curious. Do you think either of those can pose a challenge to OKC? I mean, I've seen some of the numbers. I think people are going a little overboard with this historically great OKC team.
Right.
We had Dave McMenamin on last week, and he said that an NBA player told him OKC is the best college basketball team in the NBA because they're basically a bunch of young guys who play hard every single possession. And you just don't see that a lot. The Pacers are kind of young. The Knicks kind of sort of too. Can either of them slow down OKC?
I think they can. And
Oh,
I've been leaning towards a Knicks Thunder finals would be really fun,
oh yeah.
because I mean the Pacers are scrappy, and I loved the show Tyrese Halliburton is putting
Yeah.
on. But I think to have the contrast of the Knicks fan base and the Thunder fan base, and Jalen Brunson, what he's able to work and pull off in late games, to be that clutch. And also what a moment for Karl Anthony Towns too, right? Like this guy to have this, to arrive at this level of his career
Mhm.
and actually deliver. I'm happy for him. So I would say, for the hell of it, like, yeah, let's give us a Knicks Thunder finals. And I mean, ultimately, I think this is OKC's time to bring it home
Mm.
finally. But and granted, I say finally, they've been around in what, half of the time span it took for the Knicks to return to the
Yeah,
final. So
that's
that
a good
seems a
point.
little bit dramatic. But yeah, I think we're gonna get a good finals from either of those groups. Let's at least 6 games, right?
Hopefully. Geez,
Yeah,
I don't know. We'll see.
yeah.
All right, Nikki K, great stuff. Spectrum out here in LA. Continued success as you ride. Maybe I'll see you at a sporting event. Are you going to Dodgers Yankees this weekend? It's like the sports don't stop out here in Los
I
Angeles.
know. I was like, oh my gosh, the drama is already returning. I will say I was in the Bronx covering that game 5, and
Oh,
it was
wow.
the best assignment of my life so far. It was spectacular, awesome being in, doing the clubhouse interviews like after a World Series win. I mean, that was like a, a pinnacle of 2024 I didn't know was on the horizon, right? Because
Yeah.
the Dodgers are always contenders on paper, and we've seen them, get their hearts ripped out. I digress. I digress. But yeah, maybe are you going to be at the
I'm lobbying for
okay.
tickets. I don't think it's like impossible. Everybody wants to be there, and it's one of those
Yeah.
like we'll see what happens. But I'm sure I'll run into you at some point. Nikki, thanks a lot for taking the time and continued success.
Absolutely. I'll join anytime. Thank you so much for having me on. And what a day for sports fans, right?
Yeah.